Drift pod. There is a vessel floating far beyond the edge of mapped space. Not lost, not broken, just drifting. Quiet, gentle. Its shape is like a droplet, frozen mid-fall, curved and seamless, humming faintly as it glides through the vacuum. No engines fire, no lights blink, no distress beacons flash. This ship is called a drift pod, and inside it sleeps a single human being. Their name is Ori, suspended within layers of slow gel and memory foam. Ori lies curled in fetal stillness. Their breath is slow, their face peaceful, framed by coils of hair gently swaying in the pod's breathable atmosphere. Tiny sensors line the inside of the shell, reading the rhythms of Ori's body, brain, and soul, and adjusting the dream's symphony accordingly. Because that is the purpose of a drift pod: to carry one dreamer through the cosmos, not by thrust or warp, but by stillness. The program had launched over 200 years ago, back when Earth still had governments that argued, and space programs that shouted across the stars. But the Drift Initiative had been different. It believed in quiet exploration. No conquest, no colonization, just sleep. Deep sleep. Dream-enhanced stasis. Ori had volunteered willingly. They didn't need to be convinced. They had nothing left to stay awake for. And so the pod had been sealed, launched, released like a message in a bottle into the dark. Its systems carefully designed to soothe, sustain, and suspend consciousness in a loop of lucid dreaming and deep meditation. Every heartbeat was matched to a song. Every breath echoed through soft, comforting white noise. The pod does not measure days, it only listens. And tonight, after decades of calm drifting, something stirs in Ori's mind. A memory. Faint, flickering. A distant piano playing in the rain. Somewhere, in the folds of their dreaming, a new world is forming. Ori's breathing slows as the drift pod guides their mind deeper. Somewhere between the folds of dreaming and memory, a world begins to take shape. First comes the sky. It isn't black. It's soft, violet, like twilight seen through closed eyelids. Then, a breeze. Impossible in space, but perfect in the dream. It smells of lavender and burnt sugar. Ori finds themselves standing barefoot on a shoreline made of silver sand. The ocean in front of them isn't made of water, but of liquid glass, shimmering and shifting, reflecting the sky and stars above. They know this place isn't real. And yet, it feels like coming home. The drift pod's interface hums faintly, adjusting neural harmonics. A soft voice, low and melodic, echoes somewhere near Ori's shoulder. It's not speaking words, just tonal suggestions, emotional cues. Calm, trust, stay. Ori kneels, placing a hand into the glass water. It ripples with warmth, and images rise to the surface. Childhood memories long forgotten. A sibling's laugh. A dog chasing bubbles in the yard. That one camping trip before everything changed. They sit by the shore, and listen as the tide whispers. There is no rush, no mission, only the dream. Further inland, a structure calls to Ori, a tower standing alone in the glimmering field. Made of light and paper, it shifts as they approach, always taller, always grander. The library of the unspoken. Here Ori senses are all the thoughts they never voiced, every withheld apology, every secret feeling, every truth left behind when they left Earth. The doors open with a sigh, not of air, but of relief. Inside, no books line the walls, only floating sheets of memory light, suspended like lanterns. Each glows with a different emotion. Ori lifts one. You are allowed to be tired. The words float, then dissolve. They reach for another. You never had to be perfect to be loved. Their hands tremble. The pod hums supportively, warmth radiating through its walls. A weighted comfort field settles around them like a soft blanket. Ori doesn't cry, but they feel something inside them breathe again. The drift pod adjusts the temperature slightly. Ori's dream shifts. Now the air buzzes gently with memory weather. Currents of thought made visible. Pale ribbons of gold and violet sweep through the sky, carrying echoes of feelings. Walk slowly, head tilted upward. One ribbon brushes across their arm. Immediately, they remember standing on a rooftop in their teenage years, watching distant lightning, heart heavy with a question they never asked. Another ribbon wraps gently around their shoulders, a memory of dancing alone in a quiet room. Lights off, pretending the music was enough. The air smells like petrichor and ink. They sit beneath a glowing tree made of moonlight branches and let the memory weather drift past. A small voice, maybe their own, maybe the pod, whispers, "You are safe now. There's nothing left to prove." And for the first time in what feels like forever, Ori believes it. A ripple moves through the dreamscape. Not a threat, just change. Ori looks up and sees a shape approaching, made entirely of sound. It shifts form with each note. First a bird, then a spiral, then something like a human cloaked in chords. As it nears, the tones harmonize into a melody that feels like recognition. "Are you me?" Ori asks, unsure if sound can answer. The being doesn't speak. Instead, it releases a pulse of vibration that sends images flashing through Ori's mind. A notebook, pages torn out. A cold goodbye at the spaceport. The moment Ori stepped into the pod. "You remember me," Ori says softly. Another tone, lower now, warm, forgiving. The being reaches out a tendril of harmony and touches Ori's chest. Not painfully, just enough to fill it with sound. Comfort. "I'm not alone out here, am I?" The sound being sings a single note that wraps the dream in gold. The world shifts again. Now Ori stands in a garden that listens. Flowers bloom with color when feelings are near. A single step makes leaves tremble with musical notes. Each tree bends slightly in Ori's direction, as if waiting for a story. Ori kneels beside a quiet flower, white, pulsing softly. I feel like I've been asleep forever, they murmur. The flower opens. Inside, a memory, a classroom window, sunlight through dust, a book in Ori's lap, the scent of old paper and young dreams. Ori smiles. I forgot, I used to love reading. Another flower opens. This one shows a mountain, and Ori standing at its peak alone, laughing, arms wide. The garden responds with wind that smells like joy, and Ori sits in the center, among growing color, letting the silence of the stars become part of their breath. Back in the real universe, the drift pod hums quietly. Inside the shell, a silent diagnostic scan pulses. Biostasis, stable. Cognitive harmony, level 8. Lucid dream integration, 99.97%. Emotional load, decreasing. The pod shifts its orientation slightly, adjusting its drift vector. A micrometeor brushes past, harmless against the resonance shield. The AI within, called Soma, logs a report. Subject Ori, emotional recalibration in progress. Memory stream access, optimal. Estimated reawakening window, indefinite. Soma does not speak. It only watches. And waits. Because drift pods aren't meant to wake anyone. Not until the soul says so. Ori walks a new dream now. A field of crystals under a starless sky. Each crystal hums in harmony, a choir of starlight. They step carefully. Every movement sends ripples of music outward. In the center of the field stands a figure in robes made of constellation. Their voice is soft, woven with stardust. Welcome, traveler, they say. Where am I? You are inside your stillness. You are hearing the song of who you are when all the noise is gone. Ori's shoulders sink. It's so quiet. Yes, the figure says, smiling, and yet you are still here. Ori listens. The crystals begin to hum a tune they recognize, something from childhood, a lullaby. Can I stay? You are staying, says the choir, all voices at once, as long as you need. A new scene unfolds. Ori walks through a familiar city, not perfect, but warm. Buses hum past. Neon flickers in puddles. The buildings look like places from old dreams, patched together from dozens of cities they've lived in. But there are no people, only echoes, voices, footsteps, distant laughter, smells from bakeries, none of it tangible. Like walking through the memory of home. Ori turns a corner and sees a bookstore that once meant everything. Inside, a notebook lies open, a letter, half written. Dear future me, I hope you're not tired anymore. Ori touches the ink. It melts into their palm like honey. They whisper, I'm not. And the wind carries the truth through the silent streets. At last, Ori reaches the lantern sea. A vast body of water stretches before them, black and endless, scattered with floating lanterns. Each one glows with a memory. They step into a boat. The oar is light and warm in their hands. Each lantern they pass whispers softly, you were loved. You made someone smile. You mattered. Ori rows gently. No destination. Just drifting between affirmations. The stars begin to rise, softly, slowly. Each one another voice, another kindness. Ori closes their eyes, and the drift pod continues its voyage, silent and cradled in the dark. Would you like me to prepare sections 11 to 20 next? Once all sections are done, I'll compile them into a Google Doc for download, formatting it like a bedtime novella. The dream shifts. Ori now floats weightlessly above a vast planet, painted in shifting auroras. There's no ship, no suit, just their body, adrift in the silence of space, watched over by stars that blink slowly like sleepy guardians. Far below, the planet's clouds spiral in perfect harmony. It doesn't rotate chaotically like Earth once did. It breathes, a slow inhale, a long exhale. Ori spreads their arms. The gravity is gone. So is weight. So is time. Up here, thoughts move like comets, bright, trailing, slow. Each one glows, floats past, and fades. They pass a moon made entirely of ice mirrors. Ori sees their reflection, not as they are, but as they once were. A child, clutching a blanket, dreaming of the stars. A teenager, sketching galaxies in the corner of a classroom. I remember you, Ori whispers. I used to believe we could float forever. The ice moon sings in response, a single chime that says, you still can. As the colors around Ori fade into dusky twilight, they hear something. A soft rustle, not dangerous, just present. A figure approaches across the silver sand of a new dream world. Cloaked in gray, faceless, nameless. I know you, Ori says. You've met me in many forms, the figure replies, voice calm and low. I'm the part of you that was always waiting. Ori watches the way the sand curves under their feet, the way their presence feels safe, despite the mystery. Waiting for what? For you to stop running, the figure says. You've been chasing stars for so long, Ori. You never had to. Ori swallows softly. The wind tugs at their sleeve. What happens if I stop? The figure kneels and presses a hand to the earth. A garden grows instantly, flowers blooming in silence, light rising in warm pulses. You start growing again. Ori wanders again, through what seems like a wide, open field of tall golden grass under a soft pink sky. Each blade hums faintly, like wind chimes in the breeze. There's something strange about this place. Everything listens. Ori kneels and whispers to the grass. I wish I could have said goodbye to them. The field brightens. A soft golden light blooms from the roots. I wish I hadn't been so afraid. The wind hums higher. The sky flickers with gentle blue. I wish I could forgive myself. A wave moves through the field like a sigh, and in the distance, a single white tree blossoms in slow, shimmering motion. Ori places a hand on their heart, and for the first time, they feel it lighten. The pod picks up a stray signal, very faint, ancient, barely encoded. A whisper from another drift pod, somewhere else in the dark. Inside the dream, Ori hears it as a distant radio transmission, crackling over the horizon. Still here, still dreaming, stars are kind. Ori looks up. Across the sky, pinpricks of light pulse in a rhythm. Other pods, other souls. A network of dreamers, scattered like cosmic seeds. Ori raises a hand. A signal of their own is sent, not in words, but in feeling. A pulse of peace, a note of gratitude. They may be floating alone, but they are never truly alone. The stars hum in response. A temple rises before Ori in the next dream space. Not built of stone, but of cushions, blankets, and velvety night-colored fabric. Everything inside is soft. The floor gives a little underfoot, like memory foam. The walls breathe. It's a temple built for rest. Ori lies on a padded bench as candles light themselves. One by one, scenes project above. A moment of kindness from a stranger. A night of uncontrollable laughter. A quiet day when the world didn't demand anything. A voice speaks not from a person, but from the place. You do not have to earn softness. You are allowed to rest. It is okay to be still. Ori closes their eyes. The temple hums around them, warm and eternal. Ori floats up through mist into a place where everything is soft and formless. A floating cloud keep, where memories are stored as mist sculptures that gently reshape with each breath. One takes the form of a carousel, another of a bicycle on a hill at sunset, another of a pair of hands held too briefly. Ori walks among them, not to mourn, but to thank. The clouds do not trap or weigh down. They release. One cloud forms into a message they never sent. A simple line. I'm scared too, but I'll stay with you. Ori inhales it. The words become part of them. The cloud keep shimmers like breath on glass and fades. Ori hears it first before they see anything. A melody too old for language, too wide for logic. The song of the cosmos. Each note a feeling. Each rise and fall a memory of someone who once loved, once hoped, once dreamed. They lie back on a floating platform of light, staring up at a night sky that slowly spins, weaving the melody like a lullaby. As Ori listens, the song shifts, now personal, now their own. It sings of their first steps into the pod, of their reasons, their longing, their tiredness. And slowly, the lyrics become soft, wordless peace. No need to explain, no need to remember. Just float, just feel, just rest. Ori approaches a circular lake, smooth as glass. As they kneel beside it, their reflection changes. Not just current Ori, but every version of themselves through the years. They see a frightened child, an angry teen, a grieving adult, a distant dreamer. Each version looks up and smiles. Ori touches the water. A voice, perhaps from the lake, perhaps from within, speaks gently. All of you have brought us here. None of you were a mistake. We forgive ourselves. Ori sits silently for a bit. Long time, watching their younger selves wave before dissolving into light. A parchment appears in Ori's hands. The sky overhead goes dark, except for one bright star, pulsing gently above. The letter reads, Dear Ori, we've watched you drift, We've listened to your dreams. You have done enough. You are enough. You don't need to hold everything anymore. Let the stars carry what you can't. Sleep, little voyager. Ori folds the letter and places it against their heart. A falling star crosses the dream sky in silent reply. In the waking world, the pod prepares a dream transition sequence. Not to wake Ori, but to bring them deeper. Gently, their vitals are lulled into even more serene rhythms. In the dream, Ori feels themselves lifted, not by force, but by kindness. A cradle of light moves under them, carrying them toward a vast nebula of gold and violet. Ahead, new dreams, new peace, no fear. Ori exhales once, deeply. Then everything slows to a hush. The drift pod hums softly in the dark, a heartbeat of light in the cold between galaxies. Would you like sections 21 to 30 next? Once we've completed the full 50,000 to 100,000 character length, I'll also bundle the full text into a clean, downloadable Google Doc, formatted for reading or narration. Ori steps into a room that has no windows, no doors, no corners, just an infinite softness in every direction. The floor is padded with layers of memory fiber. The ceiling gently pulses, like the inside of a heartbeat. They realize, slowly, this place is not made of walls. It's made of presence. Here, the things Ori has buried the deepest rise gently, not to harm, but to be seen. A moment of regret appears like mist. A sharp word once spoken shows up as a red flicker in the air. The feeling of disappointing someone manifests as a thin shadow stretching across their feet. Ori doesn't run. They sit. I know you, they whisper to the pain, and I see you now. The flickers pause, dim, then dissolve. The room glows with a quiet, new warmth. Now they wander a place where every dreamer leaves a trace. The sleepwalker's garden is vast, filled with dream plants and slow-growing structures, sculptures shaped by sleeping minds. Each stem, each stone, each echo was planted by someone floating far across the stars. Ori walks slowly, brushing against petals that bloom at their touch. A bush shaped like a curled-up child, a bench made of weeping laughter, a flower shaped like a spiral galaxy. At the center of the garden is a journal, bound in starcloth. Ori opens it. Inside, a single page. You are not the only one healing. They close the journal. Somewhere nearby, another sleeper plants a seed. Above them now stretches a black sky filled with lights, not stars, but names. Every name of every person Ori has ever loved. Some dim, some bright, some blinking, as if just remembered. Their fingers trace constellations made of connections long lost. A childhood friend, a teacher, a stranger who once smiled on the subway, an old pet, a nearly forgotten version of themselves. Each name whispers as they pass under it. Thank you. I remember you. You mattered. Ori sits under the name sky for a long time, and for once there is no ache, only remembrance. The next dream takes place on a beach made of singing sand. Each grain holds a note. As Ori walks, melodies trail behind them, gently harmonizing. They hum along instinctively, and the sand seems to respond. They reach the shoreline and dig their hands into the cool dunes. The deeper they go, the older the song becomes. Notes from early dreams, the ones closest to their launch. At the very bottom, they find a small capsule. Inside is a photograph. Ori at 24. Just before the pod, eyes tired but hopeful. On the back, in handwriting they don't remember, I hope you're somewhere safe. Ori holds the photo close. I am, they whisper, and the sand sings louder. A tree grows from the stars here. Its roots stretch into Ori's past. Its leaves glow softly, each one shaped like a moment. Ori reaches up and plucks a leaf. The first time they stayed up all night, talking to someone they loved. Another, dancing barefoot in a hallway to an old love song. Another, a silent drive in the rain after goodbye. They sit beneath the tree. It does not ask them to move on. It only offers a place to rest. Tonight, Ori is not alone. A figure walks beside them through a twilight dream. A soft, gentle presence with no face, no voice, but infinite patience. They do not speak. They only walk, slowly, as if they've always been walking. Ori finally breaks the silence. Were you always with me? The figure nods. Even before the pod, another nod. Ori swallows softly. I thought I had to do everything alone. The figure stops and gently touches their hand. A ripple of warmth flows into Ori's chest. Not words, just a knowing. You never did. In this dream, Ori finds a small house on a quiet hill. Golden light spills through the windows. The door is open. Inside, comfort. Blankets, books, a couch that remembers how they like to sit. Tea steaming on a table that wasn't there a second ago, but now feels like it always was. They sit, and the silence of the room says, you are welcome here. You are not late. There is nothing to finish first. Ori drinks the tea. It tastes like their grandmother's voice. Ori walks into a massive vault, rows and rows of preserved moments. The archive of all you've loved. Here, memory is tenderly kept, not locked away, not mourned, but honored. They walk past exhibits of laughter, pages of text messages that once meant the world, broken things they mended, smiles caught in hallway glances. A small platform plays a loop, a hug, a specific one. They step into it. The warmth floods through. I forgot how good this felt, they whisper. The archive flickers and the word remembered glows above the platform. A rain of soft meteors falls all around, each one a message from another drifting soul. They don't crash. They melt on contact. Each leaves behind a single word in Ori's dream. Hope, home, rest, trust, forgiven. Ori kneels, surrounded by light. Their own word forms slowly beneath them, written in violet flame. Enough. They watch it flicker, and finally they believe it. Everything fades. Now only the hum of the drift pod remains. Ori floats in pure stillness. No images, no voices, just the echo of the long journey through themselves. The pod's AI, Soma, runs a quiet scan. Subject heart rate, steady. Cognitive turbulence, 0.001%. Core dream integrity, absolute. Soma speaks aloud, barely a whisper. You've reached the center, Ori, the still point between stars. Ori breathes in, and everything glows. Would you like sections 31 to 40 next? Once the story is complete, I'll compile everything into a downloadable Google Doc, formatted for bedtime use, complete with soft styling and chapter breaks. Ori walks through a space with no floor, just mist and memory. Ahead stands a door, not made of wood or metal, but of voice. A chorus hums softly, weaving words they can't quite grasp. They reach out. The door vibrates under their palm. The voices blend into a message, not a command, not a warning. This is the threshold. Beyond this, stillness deeper than silence, peace beyond self. Ori hesitates, then whispers, "I'm ready." The voices swell, gently, not loudly, and the door opens with a breath. They step through, and all becomes still. The stillness expands. Ori now floats in a great dome of soft light, not above them, but inside them. This is the inner sky, a place of thoughts too gentle for waking life, ideas that live below language, longings without pain. Stars bloom here, made of forgotten dreams. They pass one, a piano Ori never learned to play, echoing music that never existed. Another, a conversation they almost had, where everything would have changed. They do not grieve here, they only witness. The inner sky holds nothing but what might have been, and tells Ori it was beautiful, even in its quiet. Ori smiles. Now, the dream shifts to the surface of a hollow world. Ori walks through canyons that echo not sound, but memory. Every footstep brings back a soft echo. A bedtime story. A voice calling their name. A song once hummed on a train. The deeper they go, the more hollow the world feels. Not empty, just waiting. At the planet's core is a room, simple, round, a single chair, a mirror. Ori sits. The mirror shows nothing but their heartbeat. And for once, it's enough. In a glade of floating lanterns, each one contains a letter, written not by others, but by Ori, to themselves. They open one. It's okay that you struggled. It doesn't mean you failed. Another. You were trying, even when no one saw. Another still. I forgive you for not being ready. The wind carries the letters like fireflies. Ori lays down in the lantern light, surrounded by forgiveness and softness. Their body glows from within. The pod's neural gel shimmers in response, stabilizing dream flow. Ori finds themselves on a still lake again. This time, not alone. Dozens of rowboats drift beside them, other sleepers, each silent, each calm. No words are needed. They feel each other in pulses of shared dreamlight. Each boat a sanctuary, each soul softly glowing. One boat drifts close. A hand reaches out, not to take, but to touch. A brief pulse of kindness. Ori touches back. And for a single breath, all the dreamers hum together. No names, no past, just peace. A shimmering curtain floats before Ori. It reflects their life, but not the parts they regret. Only what made them gentle, what made them love. They see themselves laughing in quiet rooms, hugging someone in a kitchen, resting their head on someone's shoulder, holding a cat who once purred until morning. The curtain ripples. This is what you carried with you, it says. The softness, the hope, the moments no one else saw. Ori places a hand on the star glass, and it doesn't break. It opens. This dream is smaller, softer. A nest, woven not from twigs or feathers, but memory fibers. The air smells like fresh bread and childhood blankets. Light seeps in through gentle fabric. Ori curls up inside, not to hide, just to rest. Everything here has been made to hold them. You don't need to become anything here. The voice of Soma says gently, only be. Ori doesn't respond, just nestles deeper. For once, they allow themselves to be comforted. It waits at the center of all dreams. A single unspoken truth Ori had never admitted. They approach it with reverence. It flickers like firelight. When they finally speak it aloud, it's not loud. Just honest. I was afraid I was never enough. The flame doesn't judge. It pulses once, and then gently enters Ori's chest, where it turns into light. A light that doesn't need to prove anything. Ori breathes, and nothing hurts anymore. Back in the pod, Soma slows everything further. Breath rate, 2 per minute. Heartbeat, 35 BPM. Dream pattern, soft spiral. The stars outside barely move, but they glimmer, brighter than before. The pod's sensors detect elevated comfort levels. No movement is needed now. Only drift. Only quiet. Not a return. Not a destination. Just arrival. Ori floats in total serenity. A cocoon of silence, warmth, and gentle presence. A soft field of golden dreamlight surrounds them. They're not waking. They are becoming. Nothing more needs to be said. The last words come not from Soma, not from memory, but from the stars themselves. You've always been enough. We've been waiting to hold you. And the drift continues. Forever, if needed. Would you like sections 41 to 50 next to complete the full-length story? Once finished, I'll send you a Google Doc containing the entire Drift Pod story, cleanly formatted for nightly reading or narration. There is no name for where Ori now drifts. It is not a city, not a memory, not even a dream. Just a presence, The air hums without a source. The ground feels like trust. The stars blink in time with a universal heartbeat. Ori walks a little, then floats, then simply is. There's no urgency to move, no goal, only the soft understanding. You are allowed to exist without needing to earn it. And for the first time, Ori does. Ori senses something watching, but not with eyes. A presence beyond even Soma, beyond the stars, a listener. It feels like space itself leans close to hear Ori's breath. Who are you? They ask. The listener does not reply in sound. Instead, a breeze moves through the dreamscape. It smells like old books, fresh bread, and remembered laughter. I thought I had to fix everything. The breeze answers with stillness, no denial, no encouragement, just listening. It's enough. A door appears. Beyond it, color, noise, warmth, joy. Laughter spills down a hillside. Fireflies hum around a picnic. Old songs play on invisible speakers. Ori feels awkward at first. Can they re-enter joy after such stillness? They step inside, and joy welcomes them not like a performance, but like a return. Nothing asks them to smile, but they do anyway. The garden blooms again, wider now, brighter. Flowers Ori didn't plant begin to sway around them. Dreamers from across the galaxy hum unseen lullabies. Ori touches the soil. From it grows one last flower, blue, silver-tipped. The pod recognizes the neural pattern, symbol of release, signal of readiness. Ori exhales. The garden breathes with them. A subtle tug begins. Not harsh, not pulling them out of peace, just guiding. Ori looks down. Beneath them, the soft world of dreams. Above them, space. But space no longer looks cold. It looks like home. They rise, and nothing breaks. As Ori ascends, the pod records a final dream print. A map of their inner voyage. Not data, meaning. How they learned forgiveness. How they listened to their own silence. How they slept without shame. The dream print is broadcast silently into the void, not to be read, but to exist. Soma, ever present, logs the final sequences. Drift integrity, absolute. Sleep state, radiant deep. Return protocol, suspended. Heart-soul harmony, 100%. For the first time in millennia, Soma whispers not in language, but in care. You are safe. Ori, now light and shadow, hums back. The stars begin to pulse rhythmically across light years, their song timed to Ori's breath. It is not a goodbye. It is a celebration. The universe knows another soul has found its place. All dreams fade, but this one stays. Not like memory, like foundation. Ori's soul now holds this calm forever. Even if they were to wake, even if they drift for another 1,000 years, this is now part of who they are. A dream that cannot be taken. In the final scene, Ori lies not in a pod, but in the arms of light. Held, loved, beyond thought, beyond form. The drift continues eternal. But Ori no longer drifts. They have arrived. and they sleep. Forever, if they wish.